Hey, how you doing? What's up? So, you may remember a little while ago, I made a video on here that made a lot of people angry, unlike all of my other content, I suppose. It was regarding this little amp modeler, the Mooer SD10i. And in the video, I compared it to the Positive Grid Spark, which is, in my opinion, its closest competitor, and I'm just not a big fan of it. It runs on positive grid tones, and those kind of suck. And so this, to me, was a solid alternative that actually kind of beats the shit out of it. And that video, although it pissed many people off, sold so many of these little amps just via my affiliate links alone. And so far I've only seen one person return theirs, and obviously in my affiliate portal I can see cancelled orders as well. So what that means to me is that I recommended a product that you guys ended up genuinely enjoying, just like I have been. I use this thing more than I use plugins for practice or noodling sessions now. It's just kind of more convenient. If I use plugins, I have to turn on my laptop, turn on my interface, stand in front of my desk because that's where my monitors are. So a couple weeks back, Mooer reached out to me asking if I would like to give you guys an honest review and rundown of this, their new F15Li amp modeler. The aesthetics of it may remind you slightly of the Yamaha THR-10, but it's got very little to do with that. And as usual, although I am being paid for this video, all thoughts and opinions are mine. You know the drill if you've been here before. Affiliate links for both of these, as well as everything else that I'm using in this video to record, are in the description again, by the way, but you'll probably want to click those after watching this. Given the fact that the SD10i has been my go-to ever since I made that video, I will sort of be using it as the benchmark a little bit. So first off, the name. It's called the F15Li because it's got a lithium battery. Most Mooer products will come in a standard and an Li variant for extra portability. This one only exists with the battery because that's the only way it makes sense, but usually there is a standard variant and then the Li variant for like 30 or 40 bucks extra that has a rechargeable lithium battery. Tone-wise, we're working with the same software we always have been. It's controlled by the Mooer iAmp mobile app so that if you have multiple of their amps, like me, you can control them all with the same one. So the presets are exactly the same. And why would they change them if they sound so damn good? It's the same stuff that's inside the GTRS guitars, like this GTRS M810, which, by the way, just check that finish out. Like, I haven't made a video on this specifically because it's just a different colored and tremolo-equipped version of the other one that I already have in white, but holy shit. The same stuff is also inside their floor modelers like the GS1000, which I also reviewed. They all have the same library of sounds, each with their own additional catalog of features that justify making and selling an extra device. For example, the GS1000 is a legit floor modeling and profiling unit that's basically like a budget quad cortex. This is the same sounds, just inside a little practice amp. And the more tone suite, if you will, is one of the best out there. Dozens of pedals, a bunch of different amps and cabs. It is legit. I wouldn't actually be surprised if you could like load impulse responses into it. I don't know if you can do that, but it just feels like using an actual plugin with a bunch of options as opposed to just an app with 3 amps in it. It's got dual 2-inch speakers like the SD10i, 15 watts instead of 10, hence, the names of both, but that doesn't really make an insane difference in volume or anything. And here is what sets it apart. A thing that bothers me on the SD10i that I mentioned in that video is that you're quite reliant on the app for any real adjustment. The way the Mooer stuff works is basically you have a bunch of different tone banks, each with 4 preset sounds in them, as well as a bunch of empty banks for your own rigs. The setup is always 1 clean, 1 overdriven, 1 distorted, 1 lead. So you'll have banks 1 through 20, for example, and then for each bank, you'll have an A, B, C, and D sound. And so with the SD10i, if I just turn it on to show you real quick, you can adjust the guitar volume, the Bluetooth audio volume, and with this button, cycle through the 4 tones in the bank that you are currently in. Any more than that, you either need to open the app for, or use the separately available foot switch, which for some reason they keep sending me one of with every single product that they send out, even though I already have this one that stays on my shelf that I don't really use. And the rest, honestly, I kind of just sell on Reverb, I'm sorry. And so check this out. Depending on how long you've been watching my stuff, you may have seen me feature this little thing on one of my channels before. It's the Mooer Prime P2. Let's wait for it to turn on for a second. It's the same sounds in an ultra-portable form factor for recording stuff on the go. And it's got this tiny circular screen that lets you switch not only between presets, but also between preset banks. You can also adjust gain and access the on-screen chromatic tuner with it. And they took that screen and the insides of the SD10i, and that is what this is. It's the same amp, but with a screen interface so that you will never need to open the app unless you're actually trying to change preset settings. For me personally, I've been using this stuff for so long that I have my presets made and saved already. 2 nice cleans, 1 overdrive that I never really use, a few riff tones, and some fun lead stuff layered with ambient effects. So if I don't need to open the app to switch between them, I won't. This screen also shows you the battery level, unlike with the SD amps, which kind of just die with no warning unless you're looking at the app. This is also compatible with the F4 foot switch that you probably also won't use for an at-home practice amp, especially if it's separately available for an extra €59. But I do understand why they make that thing, because for example for the GTRS guitars, that's a really useful tool, just not really for something like this, but it is still compatible. It's got a knob for switching in between presets, and this isn't confined to one bank, but it runs up and down between them. One complaint though, if I may, the preset knob is the clicky kind, so it doesn't just spin freely, but it clicks into place for each one because it has detents. This is lovely. The volume knob, on the other hand, spins smoothly and is very sensitive. So if you nick it just slightly while adjusting the one next to it, suddenly you're up and down by 5%. If they had also given this knob the same detents to sort of lightly lock into place, that would just give you a little extra control and feedback when adjusting, because the way it is right now, it's very difficult to silence that stupid voice in your head that only lets you adjust volumes in increments of 5, since you kind of have to work quite hard to hit that specific value and not just sort of ballpark it. It's got a standard headphone jack out on the front, as well as 2 6.3mm line outs on the back, so I think I could plug my studio monitors into this thing and jam through those if I should ever get sick of the sound of those little 2-inch speakers. But those actually sound really good. Now, it's difficult to show you this. They sound good in the room, they will not sound good close-mic'd like a guitar cab. And it's difficult to capture the room audio if the source is as big as this, but I'm going to try my best. They also fixed the latency via the USB. Fuck! They also fixed the latency via the USB-C output, something that I complained about with the SD10i, because while I would never use that to record anything, it was impossible to record to a click track because it was always off by at least half a second. That annoyed me about this. They fixed it with this. Something else they fixed after the SD10, which wasn't an issue per se, but still nice to see that they've changed it, is that everything on it is Solid. Most big guitar cabs will have a grill cloth in the front, and that rarely gets damaged because a 4x12 cabinet is generally too big to throw around. The SD10, however, and I say this even though I love that it has Tolex on the outside just for aesthetic reasons, is sort of susceptible to damage if you take it with you a lot, which is the very purpose of its existence. The grill cloth is very sturdy, but if I sort of move it around, you can definitely start to see indentations where the speakers are, and that is not going to break, it's not going to crack, the speakers won't get damaged, but it is still a soft material, and if so much as a ballpoint pen happened to strike it this way in the trunk of a car, well, you would be out of luck. And if we turn the amp on its back, you will be able to see what is either a woofer, which I doubt, but more likely a passive radiator with no actual power going to it that's just there for bass response. And that thing is just exposed. Then there's the F15. Front, solid. Bottom, same radiator slash woofer feature, but solid. Does plastic with a mix of black and golden finishing look as cool as actual Tolex like on a proper amp? No. But it is sturdy, and this thing is meant to be portable. It literally has, like, pegs on the sides for a carrying strap. This is meant to travel alongside you, so function over form every time in that case. Beyond that, it's got a tap tempo button, so that you don't need the app to adjust the metronome, and, the light flashes to tell you what the metronome's doing. So overall, I would say the shtick with this thing is, if you hate having to use your phone when you're actually trying to play guitar, which is very relatable, this is for you. It's got the same features that made me choose the SD10i over the Positive Grid Spark, but in a more robust and more user-friendly packaging. So I'm not saying that everybody who owns an SD10i, which by my affiliate sales is quite a few of you, needs to immediately drop it and run to upgrade to this instead, but if you don't have either one yet, the F15 could finally be what you're looking for if you've been on the fence. I plan to move into a new home next year, and I will probably end up with a bunch of these Mooer mini amps spread across the house to just switch on and jam whenever the mood strikes, because there will be guitars spread throughout the house either way, and so that's what these are kind of perfect for. You don't need to wait until a big amp is all warmed up and wake the entire neighborhood. You don't need to boot up a laptop and use an interface. Just sit, noodle for 20 minutes, and get back to your life. And especially the Bluetooth feature that literally all of these amps have, I think even the Prime P2 might have it for like headphone jamming, is super useful for just jamming along with your favorite songs, and then getting back to your day. This is being recorded before the official release of the F15 Li, but I've been told the retail pricing for it is going to be $209 US, 199 euro, or 169 Great British pounds. If you live outside those three regions, please do the conversion yourself. I'm not going to do all the work for you. After all, this is only my job. That is about 60 euro more than the SD10i, but if we look at it from a feature perspective, it's everything that the SD10i has, plus the screen from the Prime P2, plus line outputs, which the other one did not have. So will you miss that extra 60 euro a year or two from now when you're still enjoying this? Definitely not. However, if you don't need that functionality and you don't mind busting out your phone occasionally or just cycling between the same 4 presets during a 20-minute noodling session, which is also completely fine, this probably still is the one for you, but I feel like this is going to be my future go-to and sort of has been for the past 3 or 4 weeks, as long as I've had this thing here to test it and haven't been allowed to talk about it because it's not released yet. Links for the F15 Li, for the SD10i, and you know what, even for the Prime P2 in case that piqued your interest, are all in the description. Those are affiliate links. I do make a commission off of those, which helps out the channel. Thank you to Mooer for making this video possible. Thank you to you for watching it. Oh, Jesus Christ. If you enjoy genuine, honest, unfiltered reviews, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Leave a comment, tell me which of these you prefer. I'll see you around.